Hey everybody, it's Greg Miller from the IGN PlayStation team, here to talk to you about Spider-Man 3 for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Spider-Man 3 is obviously the kindred spirit of Spider-Man 2. That sandbox gameplay everyone fell in love with is back, along with 42 missions for Spider-Man to compete in. The game is loosely based on the movie, and I mean very loosely based. You'll see some of the same villains, Sandman, Venom, but then it also brings in some comic book lore, stuff like the Kingpin, Kraven, and then some original content about these gangs that are roughing up New York City. And of course it all falls to the shoulders of Peter Parker to save the day. So the one thing everybody loved about Spider-Man 2 was web-slinging and the random crimes. Yeah, they got repetitive, but at least they were there. It seemed like we were making progress in this sandbox superhero world. And the good news is that those side missions are still there, and they're still somewhat fun to do, and they're not nearly as repetitive as they were in 2, but it just doesn't flow the way it should. Obviously, jumping to next-generation systems, Spider-Man 3 looks really good at first glance. His web-slinging is very fluid, the buildings look nice and realistic, and just overall, you get that initial feeling of, wow, this looks really, really good. But just like with Spider-Man's black suit, as time goes on, something sinister is amiss. First thing you'll notice when the screen gets filled with stuff, whether it be buildings, enemies, pedestrians, frame rate gets really, really choppy, and it'll immediately throw you off from that fluid experience you initially had. Combat is the most basic of button mashing. You jump into the air above a group of enemies, start alternating between two buttons, and lay waste to everybody. There's no thought needed in it, and there's a lot of it to do. Making it worse, seeing as how there's 42 missions, is that the bosses are terrible. Defeating each one of them means you have to slowly rely on your spider reflexes, which means you stand in the middle of a room, the boss runs at you, he gets ready to attack, you hold down your spider reflexes, dodge the attack, hit your attack button, and hit him. Basically, he swings, you counter. Repeat over and over and over, ad nauseum. As far as storytelling goes, Spider-Man 3 falls flat. Spider-Man 3 definitely acts as the kind of the cliff notes to the Spider-Man 3 movie. If you haven't seen the Spider-Man 3 movie and you haven't read about it and you don't know the basics of the story, this isn't going to help you at all. There's no character explanation, there's no descriptions, there's no story whatsoever for the main characters. Worse yet is even the stories that are generated for the video game aren't fully explained. So with all that going on, Spider-Man 3 really is a mixed bag. I mean, there's some good, such as swinging around the city, fighting some random crimes, the general look of things, but then there's a lot of bad. Boring missions, bad bosses, terrible frame rate, not great graphics. So I mean, we're really calling it around the office an adequate Spider-Man game. It's passable. It's barely what you'd want out of a Spider-Man title. So for you die-hard fans, I know you've already pre-ordered it like myself and you're going out to buy it. More power to you, but be prepared that it is just Spider-Man 2 with a new paint job. The combat consists of button mashing, the bosses are repetitive and frustrating, and web slinging is fun. For PlayStation 3 owners, there is a collector's edition. It's $10 extra and gives you 6-axis controls of the new Goblin, but it's really not worth it. The only thing you're allowed to do with Harry is compete in races, and then go out and take care of the random crimes around the city, but you'll have to suffer through the indignity of cops calling you Spider-Man. So in a nutshell, Spider-Man 3 is Spider-Man 2 with a new paint job.